All right, guys, so I got a call the other day and wanted me to go over how to do a wedge jig. So we're going to build a 4x4 and a 2x4 wedge jig. 4x4 is going to be 24 inches long, and the 2x4 is going to be 12 inches long. So we'll go over that. The first thing we're going to do is we'll talk about the saw that we're going to use. We're going to use a 10 1/4 circular saw. The one thing to remember is the size of the blade. So just because it says 10 1/4, just make sure from the arbor down to the actual teeth of the blade that you're gonna be able to cut the full 3.5 inches from the 4x4. So we'll go ahead and you see we'll put the tape measure in there, and if you can see the arbor and where the tape is, you just want to make sure that you're definitely going to clear the 3.5 inches. All right, so wear on the blade, whatever it may be. All right, so you can see the shoe is going to be right here, and then the arbor, so we're looking at the bottom of the teeth, measuring up to the arbor, and we're clearing 3.5 inches, so we're good there. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna measure from the inside of the blade to the outside of the shoe. All right, so if you look where we got this thing hooked, so it's gonna be the inside of the blade, he's got it hooked to the teeth, and then if you look at the shoe, we're gonna take a measurement from the outside of the shoe. And so you can get that right there, and we're about 2 1/8. You can get straight down on, it's kind of hard to see. So we're about 2 1/8 from the inside of the blade to the outside of the shoe. So that's going to be important to when we move over our diagonal piece, our straight piece. It needs to go over that distance. All right, so what we have is we have a double gusset, and we have our already cut 12-inch 4. So we'll do the 2x4 jig first. So the 4x4 piece you have here. You have a 2x4, all right, cut the 12 as well, and then you have 2 more 4x4s. All right, so these are all 12 inches in length, but we're going to need these. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take the double gusset, and we're going to nail one off to the top. So ideally what we need to do is make sure that all these pieces are nice and tight together, all right, and they're all even. And we're going to nail it off just like this, and we're going to put a double gusset just on top of it, and then we're going to do is flip it over. So the reason that we lay it this way is when we flip it completely over, that this side will now be on the left side where the motor would be. So the motor's going to be the heavy side, so we don't want the saw to rotate, so we're going to put the motor on the heavy side once this is flipped, and this is the piece that we're going to cut into the wedge. All right, and then your piece that we measured, the 2 1/8, will be measured from here to here, so you see that in a minute. So we're going to take a double gusset. Go ahead and put that on there. I'm going to lay this right over top, just like that. Now this does 2 things, and we nail this off. So one person or you or whatever, if it's on a wood table, it's a little easier, but we're going to go ahead and squeeze it together as tight as we can get it. All right, so it kind of looks like that. We nail the double gusset on top, so when we put it on a wood table or a cut table, we can nail this off. All right, so it doesn't slide around. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and drop 8 penny nails into the 4x4s. So if you look at all the pieces, we're going to nail off every piece except for the 2x4, because that one's got to come out. So we're going to drop 2 nails into this, or 1 in here, 1 here, and then we're going to put 4, so 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. I'm going to go ahead and nail those off, and we want this pretty snug, these pieces. We don't want them to loosen up at all. So go ahead and nail those off real quick. As we hold it. All right, so you can go ahead and bang these. I know they're duplex nails, but what we're going to do is we're going to go and bang these flush. And I said, don't worry about the top piece. We'll bang them flush because when we're on the table. There we go, good. Just to make sure these are all nice and straight. These aren't moving. Like I said, if it's on the wood table, it's a little bit easier, but. All right. So if you do it, if you take one person, make this a little bit easier too. If you take your hand, right, and you squeeze from this end to this end while he's hammering, it'll hold those pieces into a little bit tighter. There you go. Just hold it perfect. And then he can go ahead and nail his pieces off. Good. Now we'll do the four nails over on this side. Make sure it's still nice and flush over there. Good. Yep, good. Yep, top. All right. 2 more right there. Awesome. Now let's go ahead and flip this completely around, and you'll see when you flip it that you'll have all your pieces in line. All right, so you have your 2 4x4s for the motor, for the saw on this side. You have your 2x4 here. That's going to be able to be removed, all right, once we cut it. And then the last thing that we're going to do before we cut this, or actually next thing we should do, is we're going to put a little stopper on the back side of this. So the stopper's going to go on this side. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip this over so it's on its end. There you go, dude. And we're going to take a piece of wood, and it could be just a little scrap piece. Yeah, grab that. There you go. And we're going to just kind of put this over. Now what happens is we're going to bring this up off the lumber a little bit. So when we cut with the sawdust won't accumulate at the bottom here. It'll be able to be pushed out, and this is going to stop this from going too far. So we're not going to go ahead and push it, and our cut's going to be messed up. So where we're going to nail it off actually is going to be right over here. And we're going to put 2 nails, yep, right there. And that keeps it from rotating. Doesn't have to be perfect. Yep. Good. Drop 1 more. Don't worry about this side because that's going to be cut off. So just note run right here. Yep, there we go. Awesome. All right, so now we have the stopper. So like I said, this piece will fall off because when we make our cut through here, it'll just fall off and it'll be no big deal. So we're going to go ahead and lay it down. We'll slide this over a little bit so we can see what's going on here. And we'll talk about our next piece, which is going to be our 2 1/8 that we measured from the inside of the shoe. So a couple ways of doing this. One is if you have an already pre-cut 2x4, you can put it in and measure off of that, which makes it pretty easy. You drop your saw in, which we'll do after we make this cut. The other way to start from scratch is you need a flat piece, as you can see, and you're going to, more about the crooked side, grab that other one over there for me. All right, and you're going to take this piece and you're going to go from corner to corner on the lumber, on the piece that you want to cut. So here's the 2x4. So we're going to go from corner to corner. So just the piece of lumber is kind of exposed. You can see right in the gap. So that would be too much. We're going to leave it just like this. All right, we're going to come over here. And if you need to tack it in, if you're by yourself, you can. But you see how you can still see that little gap there in the wood? So this is going to give us our cut. So that's the cut that we actually want to make. So off of this, I want to hold that real quick. So off of that, we're going to measure 2 1/8 from this over. All right, we're going to make little lines. So measure from the other side, that way it's easier. Let me see, here you go. All right. So you're going to measure straight on, like you're coming straight on it, like this, yep. And you're going to look at the tape, and you're going to come up to 2 1/8, and you're going to make your line right there. Yep. Just make a little dot, and do one in the middle. So slide that up a little bit. And make them dark enough so you can see them. Awesome. And then one more at the top. Cool. You can just circle them, you can see them. If not, no big deal. All right, so now we're going to take, and if you look at this lumber, it's not very straight, it's crooked here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that same piece if we need to, as long as it works, and we're going to go ahead and line this piece up with the marks that we made. So it's kind of hard to see the marks there, but you can see one. So see that little mark? So we're going to follow this all the way down to our marks, and we're going to go ahead and nail that off. Just make it a little bit darker. There we go. Go ahead and I'll have to come back. All right, so we're back now. What we did was just drew a line. I don't know if you can see it on the wood we're going to cut, make it a little easier. Then we measured off our 2 1/4. So we nailed this in. We just tacked it in case our cut's messed up. It's easy to pull out. So we're going to give this a shot. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hold that piece down because it might be a little snug. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of feed this in here and hold that piece down so it doesn't jump up. All right, go ahead and give it a shot. All right, well, let's see how we did. We'll pop these bad boys out. Oh, looks pretty good. All right, so as you can see, the back, this piece was here, it fell off. And then all the sawdust would fall through there, so it won't accumulate. So we're good. And last thing we'll do is we'll just measure the heel to make sure, measure this real quick, see if this is a full 1.5 inches or close to it, minus the blade. And heel, and yep, we're right there. So overall, pretty good. So these two, I know they say you're supposed to match them up, but if you have a wedge jig, then you're not using a chainsaw, every wedge will be the same. All right, so that's the 2x4. Now we'll build the 4x4. All right, so if we had a good wedge to start with, okay, this is the one we just cut, but if we had a good one to start with, and you don't remember or you like that wedge and you want to make identical wedges, what you could do is just take your wedge, the good one, and drop it into place. Make sure it's nice and flush here. And then you're going to take your saw, you know, lift the guard up, and you're going to drop the blade right down into position, and then take the piece, your guard here, and you would actually just bring this over to touch the shoe and then nail it off. So that way you know that when you make that cut, you have your angle and then the width that you want. So everything will match up. So if you like that wedge, you can just make wedges the same. That's if you have a good wedge to start with. All right, we'll go back to the 4x4 just.